ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the Breakfast Bankroll. We have a little curveball to start today. Good friend, Mr. Terry Smith, CEO, founder of Atlanta Steaks and Seafood.com, will join us for the first 10 to 15 minutes talking Atlanta sports. And I tell you what, I think last time we had Terry on, we had two teams in the deep doo-doo. And that was, of course, my Boston Red Sox and his Atlanta Braves. I expected his team to turn it around. I expected my Red Sox to flounder. Well, that's not the case. I think my Red Sox have won 10 in a row. And Terry Smith's Atlanta Braves are already thinking about Cancun, who we trading off, and getting ready for some football and some golf and all that stuff. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Here's what I tell everyone. It's very simple. Jump on over to Facebook, go follow Terry Smith. Then come on back to AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry has it all. Trust me, he has it all. Also, 4 subscription plans. Just set it and forget it like I do. Every month, every 30 days, a box of protein delivered right to your front door. The only thing I need is a spare propane tank. So without further ado, Mr. Terry Smith. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Dawson. How are we?
As a Red Sox fan, we're hot. We've won 10 in a row, but the problem is the All-Star break. Now we know what happens. We don't play till Friday. Who's still in Cancun? Who's in Aruba? Or who's ready to play ball? But first and foremost, Terry, how are you doing?
Doing excellent, sir. It's hot and heavy down here in Atlanta. Got an All-Star weekend and games tomorrow. Home run derby tonight. Place is packed. And I'll probably stay far away. I may zip over there this afternoon, but it's a fun time here in the ATL.
Well, Terry, listen, I drank the Kool-Aid. I had the Braves winning the NL East. I had them over 92.5 games. In their over-under. I thought they'd be a very solid, formidable opponent potentially for the Dodgers. I thought this could be the year. Chris Sale, Strider, Schwellenbach. I don't think so much has been the pitching, the hitting, the timely hitting. Now, give us the first half season rundown from you, from an Atlanta's perspective.
Well, it's definitely a little different feeling this year. We hadn't been in this spot in in decades. So it's a little different. People are upset. We're not winning, but you got to go to who's available and who's who they didn't get in the off season or didn't go after free agency. We're still playing with a couple, 2 or 3 AAA guys, and people aren't producing. Acuna's played great since he's returned, but we have 2 top pitchers now still on the disabled list. Riley went yesterday. It's just a different season, and we're not used to it. So feels like the 70s all over. Yeah, 80s, but hey, we're already in football, so that hadn't been the topic here of the past few decades. But Snicker's tied. There's not much he can really do. I don't think we're going to. Well, we don't know what AA is going to do. So just a different time. We're not used to the losing, but people going crazy. But I'm gonna give them a pass. I mean, we've been so spoiled down here for many decades, and we're bound to have a hiccup every so often.
Well, Terry, I think you just answered my last question. Maybe Snicker last year made it clear. This is it. This is it. Does AA call him up, stares and says, "Hey, we thank you for your service. I'd like to pull the plug 2 months early just to see if we can wake the team up, just to see, hey, we'll bring in an interim manager, someone from the bench. I know this isn't how you wanted to go out, but this is where I'm feeling maybe best helps us to see what we have in the last 2 months here."
I don't see that happening. He's been with the program for 40, 50 years, so it's hard to get a lifelong employee that loves the organization so much just to give him a boot. But
okay.
That's not how things work anymore either. So it would be interesting. I want personally, I'd like to see Walt Weiss be our next coach. And former player, knows how to play, knows how to win, and I think he'll get along with the players at a much better than maybe somebody that didn't play the game and it's over the 70-year-old mark. So, but that would be my choice. But if it happens now, or if it happens in March of next year, Stinger, he gets praised for being another good guy, but he's a good manager.
Before we move on, is there anyone in particular that you might move, or is this just, like you said, a one-off? We're not going to just start selling pieces here. We know which direction we're going to go. We'll be back next year.
It's a tough call, but we got to have guys that aren't producing. Just horrible numbers. And Money Mike out there in center field and Albies, and they're in more than just a slump. It's a very prolonged slump, and it's. You feel for them at the plate. Say, man, just make some contact with the ball instead of striking out with, we got a second and third, no out. So it's, I think we'll see some movement, even though they signed them to long-term contracts back when everybody was, playing 110% of their capabilities. It's, I think we're going to see some movement. Maybe those 2 players, maybe catcher too. We got Ball, and he's going to be our catcher for the future. Really great talent. So we got a lot of talent still here. It's just tough just to pull the plug and flush it.
Well, I'm going to save the best for last. So let's move on over to ATL Falcons as we're getting ready for OTAs. And again, Terry, it's the 14th. Going to get to OTAs in this week, next week. Before you know it, the Hall of Fame game, a couple preseason games, and then we're off and running here. Same old, same old. What's going on with the Falcons? I think Kirk Cousins has made it clear that he's accepting the backup role. I've asked you 20 times, make it 21. The assumption is that he'll go to camp, he'll be a good soldier, he'll hold the clipboard and do what is asked, correct?
It seems that's what's happening. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a franchise. I don't know if you've seen that in your lifetime, but it's, he's already, thrown the team and the coaches under the bus, and all the players are, don't really care for him a whole lot. Or, well, I guess we'll see what happens when camp hits, and he's a good guy, but last year he should have come out of the ball games and let a new guy hit the streets and see what he can do. So I don't think he wanted to come out. He knew if he came out, it was over for him. So, but I think quietly we're gonna have some good things to talk about with the Falcons this year.
Well, I think from a defensive side, you drafted not one but two edges. So, I mean, you finally got some speed and some edge rush there. Hopefully the defense holds up their end. Again, offense, Michael Penix Jr., Bijan year 3, Drake London. That Penix to London was so sweet the last month of the year. There were rumblings. I knew all along Jono Smith was going to end up in Pittsburgh, and he did. There's been rumblings now for a while that Kyle Pitts is available. They were thinking about moving him. Any still shot at moving him, or he's going to end up back in camp and he'll be there this year?
I think he's going to stay here. It has really been one of the quietest off seasons for the Falcons and the Bulldogs that I've heard in years. I mean, it's even on the sports channels here locally, there's not a big discussion about them. But I know everybody's getting antsy. We finally got some SEC football players they drafted and got smart, and got some talent that we got a rush quarterback. We ain't had a quarterback since 1912, so it's going to be a good spot here in another 2 or 3 weeks, and look forward to see what we can do.
All right, the best for last between the hedges, Georgia Bulldogs. Been a few years since you've been at the very, very top. You don't rebuild, you reload, and as long as the kids keep it under 100 and stop getting the speeding tickets, things will be okay in Georgia. What are you hearing, Terry?
Yeah, we're happy we're not in the news for speeding tickets this summer. So I was listening to a guy the other day about all your teams, or especially Georgia this year, are going to be playing with a lot of younger players. The portal, has just changed everything, and people flying around everywhere. And if you're not good at doing a good job bringing some talent in, you're going to be hurting. So we just got 2 new recruits, tight end and best player here at Buford, Georgia, all around player. Kirby's doing a great job of recruiting. I think you're going to see Gunnar Stockton as an excellent quarterback. I think he's going to surprise everybody. We got a good little quarterback 2 or 3 years ago that nobody thought about and won 2 titles. So, so there you go. So, and it's been quiet there. I think Georgia is really edgy. They're not pleased with what they were doing the past couple seasons, and we know we got to beat Alabama. That's our little sticking post there, but I think we're going to be awesome this fall. So we're not where we needed to be, and I think Kirby's going to get us back there.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for our banter back and forth every week, every other week, whether it's the Falcons, of course, the Georgia Bulldogs. Last question before we go to a quick commercial break and your website, of course. You talked about Alabama, Coach DeBoer, year number 2. Are you more worried with Bama year 2 with Coach DeBoer or Archie Manning in Texas this year?
Yeah, a little coin flip for me. I mean, everybody you're going to have 6, 7 teams that can win the SEC this year. It's going to boil down to injuries and play, and who's going to make those plays in the fourth quarter, who's going to make the catch, who's going to make force the turnover and kicking game, a little bit of everything. But Alabama's still on our mind. I mean, that's still number 1 for us. So first year for Manning out there, and I'm sure he's going to do great. But Alabama, no doubt.
All right, quick commercial break, and when we come back, Terry will talk about AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Good Food. At Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, you'll find the highest quality meats from a variety of delicious cuts, tomahawks, salmon fillets, ribeyes, and plenty more to choose from. With an easy-to-use mobile-friendly website, selecting your pick of meat is made quick and easy. And don't forget, worrying about your dinner is a thing of the past. Check out some of the amazing subscription packages that Atlanta Steaks and Seafood has to offer. From fresh steak and seafood straight to your door. Order online at atlantasteaksandseafood.com.
Terry, we always wrap up this segment. The stage is yours.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. It's really hot. I know everybody doesn't want to go to the grocery store when it's 100 degrees or 90 up there in New York and Boston, and we just have the best quality products in the country. I buy from the same people that supply the best steakhouses here in Atlanta and ship them everywhere and bring them to my clients here locally. I'm going to offer a 10% off all products across the website this week. If you go check out, put a code STEAKS10 in your checkout. That'll help offset some of the shipping that's involved. And you can have something, order something today or tomorrow. You can have it by the weekend and, have your family and ready, or just the boys around with a couple of beers and ready to have a great steak. Tomahawks, we got fillets, ribeyes, great pork chops on the bone, even Norwegian salmon and Chilean sea bass, and great fish options if you're looking to lose the waistline a little bit. So, but we're here to help, here to serve, and just go to www.atlantasteaksandseafood.com and we'll be ready to get something to you.
Well, I can attest. I tell you what, Terry, I've had your products now for the last couple of years. The best in the business. And the funny thing, your competitors, the Omahas, the Butcher Blocks, the blah, blah, blahs, their quality can't match number one. And your customer service, it just blows them all away. And I tell you what, I started, a New York strip filet guy, but I'm just infatuated with the tomahawks, Terry.
Big boys, cowgirls and cowboys too, a little shorter version, the tomahawk's hard to fit in a box. So, but look forward to helping everybody we can this week.
Tomahawks, the cowgirls. Oh my God, I got a couple out for the this week. We're going to be having off the grill. Terry Smith, go follow him at AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Terry, have a blessed week. If we don't catch up with you next Monday, we'll catch up with you at the end of the month. How's that?
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good week.
You too. Take care, brother. Terry Smith, go follow him at AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Scotty Webb up next. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Well, I know Scotty's going to come on here and say, Jeff, I told you, just breathe. Don't worry. Well, now I'm worried because we got a damn All-Star break. And the damn Sox have won 10 in a row, and now we got to wait a week. So, without further ado, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, brother?
How about them Red Sox, huh?
Man, I'm telling you what. And I'm going to start this segment with this, Scotty. Do you know when this, I'm not going to say the Devers trade, but do you know when this really started to turn around?
Well, I never thought they were in big trouble, but at the same time, you go start winning 10 games, that's pretty good.
Well, I'm going to say what really started to turn this around was Mr. Giolito. You got Crochet that was been carrying the toe. Bueller's been awful. We've been trying. Now Giolito puts 3, 4, 5 great starts together. And now guess who's following his lead? Mr. Bayo. So I thought Giolito finally got his sea legs and it started helping the cause. Next thing you know, Bregman back on Friday. This team's rattled off 10 in a row.
Well, I've got good news for you and bad news for you.
Well, I know the bad news is look at our schedule coming out of the break. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. So I pulled up, the remaining strength of schedule for teams, and this is a great website if you want to go to it. It's called tankathon.com. It's pretty cool. Anyway, Boston Red Sox remaining strength of schedule is winning percentage is 516. There's only two teams that have a worse number than that. So they're third highest or third most hardest schedule to play. Colorado, Cincinnati, which nobody really cares about Colorado. I mean, whatever. But so, and then it shows you like they play 3 with Detroit. Now listen to this. This is great. They play 3 with Detroit, 3 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Cubs, 6 with the Astros, 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the Blue Jays, and they don't even have listed on there 7 with the Yankees. So that's what they got coming up. Now that's not necessarily in that order. That's just the strength of schedule of those good teams, right? And the bad teams that they play, they play the Pirates 3 times, the A's. They play the A's 6 times, the Orioles 6 times, teams like that, but whatever. But that's not necessarily a good thing for them. Now, I will say that they've positioned themselves well. They just beat the Rays, which is a team that, they're going to battle with that last playoff spot kind of with. And there's nothing to sit here and tell you, depending on what happens at the trade deadline, what these teams look like coming out of that. Because these teams could get better. Certainly they could get worse, right, or do nothing. But the reality is that, looking at, kind of prognostications and where the position battles are going to be, theoretically at this point, it's Tampa Bay and Boston because they're saying Toronto's in. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think Toronto's in. I think Toronto's done a great job. They positioned themselves very well. Toronto has the 10th hardest schedule, so that's not necessarily a good thing for them. And they're going to have to play. They're going to still have to play well. So here's the thing about the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, if you look at, let me go to my standings over here and give you what I'm talking about. Baseball.com. There you go. If you look at the standings for the Blue Jays, the Blue Jays, they are 2 games ahead of the Yankees, 3 games ahead of the Red Sox. Their run differential is plus 17. Plus 17 means they should only have 50 wins, and they have 55. So, and then when you start to look at it from a different level, right? They've won 32 and 16 at home. So, they've been a good home team. They're not necessarily a good road team. So I look at this team and go, they've won more than they should have won, which is good for them. But at the same time that it's good for them, that stuff typically starts to even out. They're going to start losing games. And that's why I say, look, they're not going to finish where they are. Statistically, the numbers say, the way I look at it is, I kind of look at it this way. I have Yankees, Red Sox, and then I have the fight between Blue Jays, Rays to get into the playoffs. That's how I see it. But I don't know that that's really going to be the case because I think Houston, Seattle's in, and I think the Tigers are in. And then, I think, you got there's 4 teams going to fight for 3 spots out of the AL East.
No, and I agree with that because you brought in Seattle, so I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to bounce to the NL for a second. Terry's still backstage here, so I wanted your perspective on the Braves, thought process. We know that in my eyes they've been the bust of the year. I drank the Kool-Aid. They start the year. We knew Acuna was coming back. We knew Strider was coming back. Then Strider gets a couple bumps. He goes back on the IL. I think the big, they just have had no timely hitting, no clutch hitting. Albies, as Terry and I both say, I've been in a couple years slump. Scott, the GM, what do the Braves do here moving forward the rest of this year and then obviously into next year?
Well, there's a couple things here, I think. Um, if you break down what the Braves are doing, first of all, they're not winning any games on the road. I mean, they're just horrible on the road. Their record on the road is there it is. They are 18-31. They're 13 games below 500. And then I kind of looked at them a little bit differently too, and kind of looked at, well, where are they losing all their games? Well, against the National League East, they're 10-6. That's not that bad. But it also shows they haven't played that many games against the National League East yet. And against against the American League teams, they're 10-14. So that's not very good. The National League's better than the American League. They should be beating up those teams, and they're not. So that's not a very good sign for them. But where I found it very, very ridiculous is, and they might not play any more of these games, they're 8-20 against the National League West. So the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants just kicked the crap out of them. That's what happened. And now, they're not going to play a lot of those games left. So they have a chance to get better. Now, my thoughts are they're too far out. They're 11 games back of just a wild card, right? I mean, they're way back. So there's a problem there. And then I think if you're asking me what I'm going to do as a general manager and it's hard because I'm not looking at the age of some of these guys. Like I don't recall how old Albies is. I don't recall how old some of these guys are off the top of my head. But look, it's got to change. You got to make some changes. Albies is too inconsistent, and to be honest with you, he's a good player, but that's all he is a good player. And you're talking about the Braves, and you're trying to be competitive with the Mets and the Phillies. And look, the Mets don't have the best team that they can put out there. Watch what happens with what they do with the trade deadline. If they want to go out and spend money, they can put whatever team out there they want. The Phillies, at the same time, that's a hot and cold team, but they can pitch, and they have the depth at starting pitching that nobody else has. I saw a report that they want to go get Johan Duran and Griffin Sachs from the Twins. Good luck doing that, by the way. So if they do that, though, their bullpen will be dynamite. And it will be so hard to beat the Phillies because they can pitch, and they'll hold you in every game. The Mets, they're winning games because they hold around because their starting pitching isn't the worst in the world, and it's been good. And to be honest, they don't have an ace. They what Peterson's their ace. That's not really an ace. They don't have that guy. Kodai Senga's he's really a good number two. He's not really a dominant ace kind of guy. But that all being said, they could go get one. And then I'm starting to look around and I'm going, well, who in the hell is that? What does that mean? Well, I saw this thing where everybody wants to go get a package deal, and they want the Diamondbacks to give up, Eugenio Suarez and what's his name, that one pitcher. Anyway, and I sit here and go, well, the pitcher has a WAR of 0. I mean, that's what he is. Let me get his name because this is stupid without doing it without his name. The guy they got from Miami years ago. Diamondbacks. I have too much stuff on my brain. Zach Gallen, that's who they want. So I've heard that they want to package that deal together and get these teams together. So I started doing a little bit of looking at this stuff, and I was shocked. Shouldn't say shocked. I was surprised that Eugenio Suarez is one of the best 20 players in baseball right now, and he's projected to have 100 RBIs. And you know how I am about 100 RBI guys. You need those kind of guys, and that's an impact bat. That's a guy who's going to make an impact in your lineup. And if you want that kind of power and that kind of impact, he's the guy that can do that. Zach Gallen's not going to get you anything. his prorated his number. He's a 0 WAR right now. Well, what's that tell you? That tells you that you could call up a AAA pitcher, and the AAA pitcher is equal to him. That's not helpful to a team trying to get there. So I started looking around, and I'm like, some of these, where are you going to find pitchers from? Like, you got to go look for teams that aren't going to be in it anymore. Well, the Pirates, what are they going to do? They're going to get Paul Skeens. They're not going to do that. So you start looking at some of these teams, and you find guys like Sandy Alcantara and guys like that. Well, he's a better solution, Sandy Alcantara is, than is Zach Gallen, for several reasons. A, he's a former Cy Young winner, and B, he has the potential to turn this around and really do some good things. I saw that Merrill Kelly might be on the list. And look, if you want to go get Merrill Kelly, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. I mean, he's top 25, and is that an impact? If you're a top 25 starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, I would say that's an impact. But I don't know where you find these guys unless the Rays are down here saying, hey, you can come get Taj Bradley. Well, look, Taj Bradley's 1.4 WAR. That's not a bad number. And he's a young kid, but the Rays got so many pitchers, I guess they would say, screw it. I need to find room for some of these guys coming off injury and different things. So I don't know, the Rays are in the mix. So I don't know what the Rays are going to do. They never do anything like surprisingly huge. So who knows what's going to happen with some of this stuff. And that's what I don't have a good feel for. I really don't have a good feel for what impacts are available to help these teams, because to be honest with you, I don't know that there are. I mean, what impact bats are you going to get? I mean, I don't know that there, Eugenio Suarez is the only one I can think of on an RBI guy.
The key to success is the back end. Go back a couple of years ago when the Phillies made their run. They were just bringing out flamethrowers in the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. These guys that did jack, all year. Next thing you know, in a playoff, high impact situation, these guys are missing bats. They're missing bats. You talked about it. I haven't brought this up. I did it all last year with you. I'm going to get creative right now for the Red Sox, okay? And I'm going to say something to you, and you're going to laugh, okay? But just play the game with me here. I was wrong. Chapman is probably, and he's been the MVP for the Red Sox. He's having a career year.
He's graded the number 1 relief pitcher right now.
Lights out. And then I said they were going to move him. They're not moving him, especially after we went 10 in a row. We got Hicks back there. We have some Scotty Webb. I'm bringing this name back. I'm going to get creative here. You ready?
Yeah.
Call up Oakland. Let's go get Mason Miller. Think about this now. You'd have Chapman in the 9th, Miller for the 8th, and maybe an out or two in the 7th. You got Jordan Hicks locked and loaded. You've now just extended that back end with those other arms. You got enough talent to move around. Oakland is not going to be in the mix for 2 to 3 years. Why can't we go get him?
Well, you probably could. They're going to ask a lot for him.
I get it.
They'll ask a lot for him. My concern with Mason Miller is what do you use him? So my thought would be if you have both of those guys, I think you put Mason Miller in the 8th.
Yeah.
I don't think you have him close the games. My opinion of Mason Miller has been that he's a guy that throws hard, but he's not a closer. I don't know how to say it other than that. Meaning that, he throws hard, but his mentality is he was a starting pitcher. So he goes out there, throws hard and misses bats. And if he doesn't, he doesn't, they hit him. Whereas, you go the other way and your big lefty there comes out of the bullpen. He's been a closer for so long. He wants to get the close and the save. right? He wants to get the key outs in the critical spots, and he wants to throw the slider when he needs to, and he wants to do the things that he needs to do to get the outs, and he knows how. And I don't think Mason Miller has learned that yet. And that doesn't mean that he won't. That doesn't mean that he won't ever be the greatest closer that ever lived or whatever. Whatever. But my opinion of Mason Miller has been that, when I first saw him throw 102 or 103, whatever, I thought, okay, this guy's great, right? And then I sit here and I go, well, there's other guys that can do that shit now too. And I sit here and I watch his stuff and I watch him go, and there's something about what makes players more elite than others, and it's in their head. It's up here how they think about certain things. And unfortunately, Mason Miller plays for the Oakland Athletics or the Sacramento Athletics or whatever you want to call them. And how much competitive edge baseball has he really ever played?
None. Zero.
That's my thought with him. Is that if he's coming in your seventh inning or eighth inning, and that's great, and I sit there and go, you can back him up and you can go bang to bang to two guys that come in and throw over 100 miles an hour, bang bang, great, that might be good. But what if he disagrees with that, and what if he's one of those kids that, and I don't know him to be able to say it one way or the other, but he might not be a personality fit for that, meaning that he could be one of those guys that just says, look, I'm the closer. I'm the guy that comes in the ninth inning. To hell with all that other crap. He might be one of those kind of guys. I don't know. Closers are weird that way. Yeah, the ninth inning guy pitcher is kind of weird that way. But there are teams that need, relief pitchers and closer guys and 100-mile-an-hour throwing guys, because yes, that's the way of the world these days. And I worry about teams like the Cubs. Like, you watch the Cubs play, man. I'm just telling you, they play great baseball. They play great offense. They pick each other up. They do all kinds of great things. But when you get it when you get to the playoffs, when you're facing the elite pitchers of Major League Baseball and elite bullpens, it's hard to score, and you don't have those pitchers on your side. So I worry about teams like the Cubs, because I always wonder, maybe through 160 games it can get you there to the end, but if your team's not set up for that short run with the great, guys coming out of the bullpen, who's going to do it for you? I don't know. And, the Astros have that in terms of their bullpen and stuff. So,
Well, I haven't brought that name up all year. I said I wanted to get creative. Listen, I was saying for the last week to 10 days, my thought was what the Red Sox were going to do at this point. I thought they'd move Chapman because he's not going to re-sign here. They'd save $5 million. They'll take their extra money from Devers. They'll give that extension to Bregman, and they'll say, we got Harrison and Hicks now from that trade, and we're looking for a first baseman. I'm changing my tune now. We've won 10 in a row, Scotty. Look at this vision here. Mason Miller, mentored by Chapman. Chapman can go next year if you got Mason Miller. We got Jordan Hicks. Can you imagine 7, 8, 9 in Boston? Hicks throwing 100, Miller throwing 103, Chapman throwing 103. If we
no, I like that. I like that. I think you're putting a lot of trust in Hicks, because Hicks doesn't throw strikes. So you got to be careful with Hicks. He can go out there and walk the bases loaded kind of guy.
Kimbo.
And he's been a starting pitcher all season. So I don't. So do you throw that kind of plan out there? I think you probably could try. I don't know if it would work or wouldn't work. I don't know why you couldn't try it, because if you make the playoffs, right, obviously you need starting pitching to get you to the bullpen, but that's only 5 innings these days. And if you can get your bullpen in with the key guys and just bang, 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 right, I think you'd be in pretty good shape. So I don't know that that's a bad plan. I don't know what they're thinking. And that's my problem with Major League Baseball today. I can't figure out what these teams are going to do. And I'll be honest, 100%. I don't think one of these teams, other than the Phillies, can tell you that they don't need a starting pitcher. But, they all do. They all need a guy to come help them down the stretch. They all need them. There's not one of these teams that can sit here and tell you that they can't. Even the Dodgers can use starting pitching because they're all banged up and hurt, and even though these guys are all coming back here shortly. So I think then you got to go and say, well, where do we get them from? Well, shit, there aren't any. I mean, Major League, that's the worst thing, right? Major League Baseball wants to do this expansion and go into 2 more teams and all this stuff. And shit, they can't even supply the 30 they got. And I keep sitting there going, stop doing that, right? Develop these guys, get these guys playing better and doing different things and stuff. So I was really thinking that, and I can't, I'm just not the world's greatest guy doing this stuff in terms of playing matchmaker to fit needs with these teams. But Jeff, they're all the same. All these teams they all need a starting pitcher. They can all use bullpen help. Everybody needs a third baseman. Everybody needs a first baseman. They all need an outfielder. Nobody likes their catchers. So it's kind of like, well, they all need the same guys. So at some point, who's the main valuable guys? Well, they're those spots. But, it's like Eugenio Suarez, right? I'm not sold on him as the greatest player in the world, but can he help a pennant run? I think he can. And in terms of major league bats, or whatever, maybe you're going to start to see weird stuff. And I mean, I think you might see some of these teams go, you know what? I'm not looking for those kind of guys. I'm going to go find Matt Chapman for somebody else. And I'm going to take him, even though the Giants are in this race. I'm going to go do something like that. And then they're going to give up whatever they give up for players like that. I don't know. I think that's the route that you're going to probably see a lot of these teams try to go. If they're talking about trying to get Johan Duran and Griffin Jacks, good luck. And what do you have to give up? And the Phillies, I don't really think have a whole lot. Now, I say that, and they got Painter in the background who can't even make the team because they got such good pitchers up here. So,
shout out, good morning to Denzel Lomba. Go follow him, Mr. Diesel in the house. Happy Monday, D. Good to see you here. Thanks for the love and support. Again, Scott, I'm trying to get creative. I know everyone's going for the same guys. Someone is going to pay a big tax on Alcantara, betting on the come. I think it's going to be the Yankees. I think he's been tied to them for a long time. Everyone now is going to put these guys.
Why not the Cubs?
I think probably, and this is just my take, that the Yankees might be able to give up a little more. I could be totally wrong. Listen, I love the Cubs. I talked last week with you. Now my Red Sox, so I'll say, sign me up for Cubs, Red Sox. But I said before, Tigers and Cubs. I love what the Cubs do. I do. I love everything about them. And listen, it would be robbery right now if they gave the MVP in the National League to Ohtani. What Pete Crow Armstrong has done. That would be highway robbery. But we know now Ohtani's coming around. He'll be pitching more in the second half. But that's Armstrong's trophy right now, Scotty.
No, I agree. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know how it's going to play out down the line and what Ohtani's going to deliver for the Dodgers down the stretch. I think both teams are going to be in, obviously in a playoff contention, and they're both teams are going to make it. But as I say that, it's one of these things, like the Dodgers on this list. They have the 25th easiest schedule to the rest of the way. And the Cubs have the 28th easiest schedule. They're going to blow these teams out. The Cubs and the Dodgers are going to run away with this. And here's another food for thought idea. I keep talking about, where in the Padres? What's going on with the Padres? Well, I kind of did a little research with the Padres. The Padres, where are they? Let me go back to this thing. Teams that the Padres, they're there. The Padres, when they play teams that are over 500, they're 18-31. Jeff, they're 13 games below 500 against good teams. And then the teams that they play when they're under 500, they're 34-13. So they're just beating up the teams they're supposed to beat up, and they can't beat the teams that are better, are good. So I think the Padres kind of sit there and go, look, I don't know what we're going to do with the Giants here. We got a battle between the Padres and the Giants, and where do the Cardinals fit in and all that stuff, and and how does some of that stuff kind of fall? Do the Diamondbacks have any chance? They're not going to be if they sell all these players. So I think you run into some of this spot of, I don't know, how does it all kind of shake out and fit in, but when I looked at the remaining schedule, the Dodgers were there, but the Padres are the 27th easiest schedule to go. They've played a lot of their tough opponents already, I just think that some of this stuff. Toronto has the 10th toughest schedule. Boston has the 3rd toughest schedule, and the Milwaukee Brewers, Jeff, have the 5th toughest schedule. And these are the teams that are kind of on runs, And I sit there and go, well, Milwaukee has to play all these tough teams, and the Cubs have already played them. So I look at that, and start to think, I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I think it's going to shake out in a like Houston. Houston is at the 29th easiest schedule. So that means they're the 2nd easiest schedule to go. And then you go and say, well, where's Seattle at? Well, they're 21st. So, it makes a difference of who you play and when, and how healthy your team is and stuff. It's like Houston's getting all banged up again. They got no pitchers again. Well, they certainly don't hardly have any hitters right now. So we'll see how they come out of this thing and what they do. And that reminds me, we didn't even talk about the All-Star game yet, and none of these guys go play. They're all going, I don't want to go play. I'm going to rest. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go see my family. I'm going to do that. It reminds me of the NFL.
Scotty, I was talking to a few friends, and back in the glory days for the Red Sox, this was must-watch rhetoric, must-watch TV. Between Ortiz, Manny, and I'm missing one. Ortiz, Manny, and there was someone else. They'd all go up to coach and say, all right, listen, hey, wink, wink, I need to get out of Dodge here by Saturday. Hey, you can I'll play Friday. You can let me DH Saturday. I'm gone. I got to get to Aruba. I got to get to Puerto Rico. So it was Pedro. Pedro was the other one. He had to get under the mango tree. That was it. So between those three, who's going first, who's going second, and who's got to play on Sunday? The best of times here. And as you said, I haven't talked about the home run derby tonight. Cal Riley plus 300. O'Neill Cruz plus 330. I'm rooting for James Wood at plus 400. Got the hometown hero, Olsen Niner. I probably won't watch a wink. There's your Junior Caminero plus 950. I'm going to close with this home run derby all-star game. The stage is yours. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I looked at some of that stuff, and my thought was home run to fly ball ratio. You hit a fly ball, you want it to go out, and the number one guy in this home run derby is Wood. He is the number one guy, and the guy that I thought is probably not going to do so good is Matt Olson. I mean, Matt Olson's there, but I don't think he's going to do that well. He's the lowest one. And one of the ones that's kind of surprised me was Chisholm. Chisholm is actually pretty good at doing that kind of things. I think he might be a surprise guy, but I think he's too little, and it takes a lot of energy for him to do this. So my thoughts are, you don't want to ever bet the favorite, because that's just dumb money. But I think that if I was gonna bet on this, which I'm not, I'm not betting O'Neill Cruz because he's never done it before. I know Woods really never really done it before either, but I would bet him, and I would bet him because he's a bigger guy. His swing path is kind of where he's been practicing for this. Not that these guys haven't been, but he's been practicing for this. I saw a report that they didn't like it that he was practicing for it because his batting average has dropped over the last couple of games before he's going. So whatever, it is what it is. So he's like putting a little bit of effort into this. And I don't think that Atlanta plays to lefties or righties one way or the other. So I don't think there's an advantage or disadvantage to either one of those. I haven't looked at weather or wind or any of that kind of stuff for tonight or anything like that. I just looked at, home run to fly ball ratio is what I looked at. Because you can look at a lot of stuff. I thought about, should I look at barrel rates? Well, who cares? It's batting practice. They're all going to hit it on the barrel for the most part. So that doesn't matter. What about hard hit rate? I don't think that matters because, they're just throwing meatballs at them. So it's really more about stamina, right? These guys have to be able to get through this stuff and swing the bat a whole bunch of times. And secondly, then I thought, well, it's got to be home run to fly ball rate. So that's kind of what I looked at for that the statistic or development. I think that as I kind of looked at some of this stuff, I'm almost at a point where a lot of this stuff is laid out. My numbers that I have for the divisions and how all that stuff is playing out. So I have Yankees, Red Sox in the American League East, and then I have Toronto, Tampa Bay. When it comes to who makes the playoffs, I've kind of got Houston, Seattle. They can be flip-flopped at any time because they both make runs. They both do whatever. They're percentage points away. I have Detroit. So I have Seattle, Houston, Detroit, Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays. But that's just slightly over the Rays. So I think it comes down, in my opinion, it comes down to Blue Jays, Rays in the American League East. And everybody else is already in. There's nobody going to catch nobody else. I mean, the Twins, they're out. Kansas City's a 500 team. They're out. And the Texas Rangers aren't going to get there. So I don't like any of those other teams. In the National League, I have Phillies, Mets. They're flip-flopped back and forth, right? I mean, percentage points, they're right at the top. And then I have the Cubs, and then I have the Dodgers. So those four teams. And then I have Milwaukee Brewers, San Diego Padres, and kind of the Giants are in there, and the Cardinals are in there. And I don't know what to tell you about those teams. I think that those teams are going to have significant issues one way or the other based on what they do in the trade deadline. So I think the National League is going to be way more intriguing when it comes to how many teams are available and who gets in and who doesn't. But I think as of right now, I would say Philadelphia, Mets, Cubs, Dodgers, they're all in. And it can fluctuate in the other teams because, if the Brewers go get a couple bats or if they do whatever, or if the Padres were to do something, and you know how the Padres are, they want to trade everybody every time, all the time, everywhere. And, maybe the Giants are kind of feeling that way too. So you do a little bit of stuff and then all of a sudden your team takes off and, they're in. So I don't know what that's going to look like in the National League, to be honest. But I think the American League is relatively set.
Well, I can't wait and give you a couple days off. We'll be back Friday in the afternoon. Everyone back on Friday. They used to let a couple play on Thursday, which it was kind of nice to get our feet a little wet. But everyone back on Friday. So I want you to go enjoy the Home Run Derby, enjoy the All-Star Game. We'll catch up in the Friday afternoon to break down the whole slate. And as we get prepared for the second half, the countdown of less than 80 games, right, Scott?
Yeah, most of these teams have played like 96, 97 games right now. So I think that you're going to see less than 80 games. But it's like these first 40 are going to matter. So when you come out of this, I know they talk about, the trade deadline of being, I think it's what the third week of July or something. I don't remember what the exact date, maybe July 28th. I don't know, but it's coming. These deals are going to need to happen for whatever they're going to be. I just don't know. Again, I don't think it's a solid year for being able to go out and get impact people to help them. So they're going to have to be real creative, and they're going to have to do all kinds of different things to get quality players, because teams will still give up on them. They'll give up based on what you give them. If you overpay for somebody, they'll gladly say, okay, sure, overpay, I'll take it. They'll do that. But I don't know who's really in those positions to do that. And then secondly, I think when you think about what the important part, you need to position yourself for the run, right? I mean, like if you're 8 games back and you're at the end of July going into the middle of August, you don't have a lot of time, and you can't do anything about it then. So I think this is where that time frame comes, where you got to go separate yourself. You got to put yourself in that run now and see what happens over the next couple of weeks. You might have that leeway of time there, but that's it. I mean, there's not much time left. 90 games is, I know it's a lot of games, but at the same time that it's, 80 games, 90 games, whatever it is, 80 games. Once you've played 40 of them, there's only 40 left. And those first 40, they look, if you can go 30-10 in those games, man, is that going to be impactful, right? But if you go 20-20 and somebody else goes 25-15, you just lost 5 games that you're never going to get back. And where you've got to do that stuff, and every game matters, and how they play and stuff coming down to the end. We'll see. I don't know. I think the National League is going to be way more fun in terms of kind of how that plays out, just because, the American League doesn't have the depth of talent in the teams. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe they may all make. Maybe we sit here and do all this stuff, and then like the Twins go trade and get a whole bunch of good players, and be like, "What did the Twins just do? Holy shit!"
Well, we can't wait. Home Run Derby tonight. We got Wood for Wood plus 400. LOL, little pizza and beer money there. Tuesday, the MLB All-Star Game live in Atlanta. And then Friday, myself and Scotty will be back sometime in the afternoon to break down the Friday night lights. Shout out to Terry Smith, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Head on over there. Promo code STEAKS10. Get 10% off your whole order there. Any question, comments, concerns, reach out to Terry Smith on Facebook. He's the best in the business, I promise. Tomorrow, 10:30, Andrew McGinnis back talking some CFL and see what he sees in the horizon in the Canadian Football League. Wednesday, Brady Cannon back, the Open, the last major of 2025. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby 20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. See you soon.